what was considered the biggest crisis will become the engine of growth. Why is the rising population India's greatest superpower? Imagine, if one morning you wake up and hear in the news that India's population has crossed 1.46 billion, what would be your first reaction? Fear? Pressure? Worry about lack of resources? Or the question, how will employment, education, healthcare, and the future be secured for so many people? Now imagine that this very growing population, which the world has always seen as a burden, is about to become India's biggest strength. This contradiction is surprising, but the fact behind it is even more remarkable. India is standing exactly at that crossroads where population is not turning into a crisis, but into a power. And this story is not about numbers alone, but about those billions of dreams and millions of aspirations that are laying the foundation for making India a developed nation by 2047. India has always been seen by the world as a big country, vast land, vast culture, a huge democracy, and massive challenges. But today, India's biggest identity is its population. This population, according to any textbook, is a big challenge for a developing economy. But the same population is becoming the largest engine of India's growth. Because when such a massive young population moves forward, whether in technology, education, skills, digital economy, or consumption, the entire nation transforms. And in India, this transformation has already begun. Many of the world's major economies are slowing down today. China's population is declining. Europe and Japan are aging rapidly. America's birth rate is falling. Their workforce is shrinking. Innovation is slowing down. And the healthcare burden is rising sharply. But India is still a country where the streets reflect energy, where children standing in metros are learning coding, where youth from small towns are understanding artificial intelligence and e-commerce through YouTube, where women in rural areas are making transactions through UPI, and where millions of people aged 18 to 30 are hustling for their dreams. This energy, this enthusiasm, this ambition, this is India's momentum that can turn it into a superpower in the coming decades. But a population becomes a strength only when it gets direction. And in India, the biggest force giving this direction is domestic demand. India's consumption market is the fastest growing market in the world. Millions of people buy something every single day. Soap, toothpaste, clothes, shoes, mobiles, electronics, bikes, cars, homes, education, health services, internet data, OTT subscriptions, digital devices. Demand is rising in every sector. This demand is the fuel without which no economy can grow. And India has more of this fuel than any other country in the world. This very demand has pulled the world's biggest companies toward India. Apple is manufacturing iPhones in India. Samsung, Foxconn, Boeing, Airbus, Tesla, Micron, all are either expanding production in India or preparing to do so. Why? Because where the population is large, the market is large. And where the market is large, the world invests. India's population is not a crisis. It is a market force. But a market works only when the infrastructure is strong. And in the past decade, India's infrastructure transformation is nothing less than a documentary subject. Thousands of kilometers of new highways, expressways, freight corridors, bullet train corridors, more than 100 new airports, modern ports, smart cities, Digital India, BharatNet. Together these are making the country not just fast, but extremely fast. Earlier, goods sent from one city to another took 7 to 10 days. Now they reach into 2-3 days. Transport became fast, so business became fast. Business became fast, so the economy became fast. The economy became fast, so jobs increased. Jobs increased, so consumption rose. And as consumption rose, the country's growth cycle became unstoppable. But the biggest engine of this cycle is India's young generation. 65% of India's population is under the age of 35. Meaning, India is not only the world's largest young nation, it is the world's future workforce. Today, 80 companies, BPOs, manufacturing units, startups, fintech firms, global capability centers, e-commerce companies, everything rests on India's young population. This young population doesn't just work hard. It learns, experiments, takes risks, and does not fear failure. This is why India has become the world's third largest startup ecosystem. After the US and China, India has the highest number of unicorns. 20 years ago, even imagining this was impossible. India's population is not only large, it has also gone digital at record speed. India consumes the most data in the world. India runs the world's largest digital payments network. Millions of shopkeepers no longer accept cash. They take payments through QR codes. This digital revolution is pushing India's young population forward in global competitiveness. Today, India's villages are digital, and its cities are global. This combination exists in no other country. But amidst this entire transformation, one big question remains: is a growing population truly a strength? Will it never become a burden? The answer is simple. If a population remains uneducated, unskilled, and unemployed, it becomes a burden. But if a population is digitally skilled, socially empowered, and economically productive, it becomes a superpower. The difference lies only in direction and policy. India is moving in that direction. In recent years, India has made massive efforts in education and skill development. Coding, robotics, AI, cloud computing, data analytics, these subjects are no longer limited to cities. Children in small towns are learning them too. The new education policy teaches children not just to study, but to learn analysis, creativity, problem solving, understanding, research. This new age learning will give India the most skilled workforce in the coming decade. Micro-entrepreneurship is becoming a new strength in India. Millions of people are running small online businesses. Instagram boutiques, YouTube channels, food delivery kitchens, handmade crafts, digital services. Together they have created a new mini-economy base within India's economy. This base is creating job creators. It is giving the population not just employment, but entrepreneurship. All of India's strengths arise because of its population. The market is large, the talent pool is large, innovations are large, production potential is large, and consumption is large. And the world's most powerful economies, both historically and today, have always been population-driven economies. But some challenges still stand in the way. Inflation, unemployment, the skill gap, rural poverty, agricultural modernization, and urban pressure. Yet despite these challenges, India's growth is not slowing down because its economic engine is powered by three forces: consumption, manufacturing, and the digital revolution. These three engines together create a momentum that even a global slowdown cannot stop. What will India look like in 2047? It's a big question. But the answer lies within India's population. If this population becomes educated, skilled, digitally empowered, and economically productive, then India can become the world's most powerful economy. Because population is not just a number, it is human capital. And human capital is what builds a developed nation. India's story is only half written. The next chapters depend on how this population grows with knowledge, with skills, with discipline, or just with numbers. But these signs are positive. India's growth rate is higher than any major economy in the world. Global agencies are optimistic. Investor confidence is high. The manufacturing ecosystem is expanding. Digital India is world-leading. And most importantly, India's youth has awakened. Whether India will become a developed nation by 2047 or not, time will tell. But the kind of population energy, digital readiness, infrastructure growth, and policy stability visible in India today is a clear indication that India is on the right track. And the engine driving India on this track is its population. The SAM population that was once called a threat is today a symbol of hope, power, potential, and tomorrow's
Taught you
superpower.
something new. Do not forget to like and share this video so that this information can reach others as well. Your likes and shares are a source of inspiration for us. If you have any questions or suggestions, please let us know in the comments. It will be our honor to answer your questions and listen to suggestion. And yes, if you like our content, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so that you stay connected with every new story. Thank you. GRT Business YouTube channel sources: news from various news agencies, opinion polls, and other public sources. We try to ensure that every report and summary is accurate and verified, but we are not responsible for any dispute or error. Our aim is only to provide you with accurate information.